Okay, so welcome everyone. This is the third week of our intro. It's just a four-part that I'm doing. The sort of foundation teachings of the path to enlightenment. So this week we'll be looking at the section Impermanence, the chapter on impermanence and death. But as per usual, we'll start off with meditation. So we'll do it's called the rainbow body meditation. It's basically meditation. There's three main types, and they correspond to sort of three of the sort of faculties of mind we have. So there's the ability to reason and logic. So analytical meditations, where you think about something step by step and develop a deeper awareness. Then there's ones that are single point of concentration. So they're trying to develop our clarity and stability of mind. So we've all got that ability to concentrate and see things clearly. And the third type is ones involving visualization. So there we sort of try and engage our imagination and the visualization, the more clearly we see it, the more, it's like seeing is believing. So the more you can visualize, then the more effect it will have. So this one's called Rainbow Body Meditation, and it's said to be very good for youthfulness, keeping us young, and making the body very light and very energetic through this meditation. All right, so we're sitting in meditation posture as usual. So sitting with our backs reasonably straight but comfortable, and head very slightly forward, just very slightly, gazing down the bridge of our nose. Right hand can be in left hand, and thumbs meeting in the gesture of concentration, like this. And that tells you that you're still awake. Then eyes focused can either be closed or slightly open, but unfocused, so we're not paying attention to what we're seeing. Let's start off just with the out breath and letting go of any tension, any preoccupation that's built up through the week, any worries and so on. Because now we can decide this is meditation time. We're having a break from our usual thoughts and so on. We can do this with the out breath. So as you're breathing out, then breathe out any obstacles, unhappiness, or preoccupations and worries, and so on, just breathing out. Each time you breathe out naturally, letting it go, any tension. And changing the meditation cycle and just focusing on the sensation of the breath. Sensation in your tummy as you breathe, or the sensation at the tips of the nostrils as the air enters and leaves. It's up to you. So find the object, that sensation, And if you like counting through from 1 to 10, so 1 out breath and 1 in breath is 1, second in breath, second out breath 2, and so on. But the main part of our attention, focusing on the sensation of the breath. Establishing our motivation for the practice. So we try to extend our vision. So the meditation then becomes a cause of something greater than just relaxing in the here and now. So thinking through this meditation, through this study, then may my mind become more and more peaceful, and more and more happy. Step by step, traverse the path of enlightenment in order to be of benefit for everyone I encounter and all living beings. Visualize at the crown of your head, your crown chakra, or your crown energy center. There's a rainbow-colored drop of light. It's a beautiful, pure, radiant drop of light of multicolours. And light emanates from this rainbow-coloured droplet and transforms your crown chakra, or your crown energy centre, at the top of your head, into rainbow light. And this rainbow-coloured drop descends from the crown chakra to the throat chakra. The light emanates and transforms the throat chakra into rainbow-coloured light. Radiant, beautiful, completely pure. And the rainbow-coloured drop descends to your heart chakra, down to your heart. Again, emanating rainbow light, transforming your heart chakra into the nature of light. The drop then descends to your navel chakra, emanating rainbow light throughout the navel chakra and transforming it into rainbow light. And then it descends to the chakra at the base of your spine. Transforming it into beautiful rainbow light. The rainbow light emanates from all of your chakras or energy centers and transforms your coarse body into rainbow light nature. No longer heavy and solid, but light-natured. Rainbow light continues to emanate outwards and transforms your dwelling or abode, or this temple, into rainbow light nature. It extends out, touching the land, transforming that into rainbow light. And continuing to radiate outwards, it transforms all of the world and the community of beings into rainbow light, radiant like nature. And concentrate on this. all environments and all beings collect and gather and dissolve into your rainbow body. So all that's left now is your rainbow body. And your body, from the feet upwards, dissolves into a rainbow-coloured drop at the crown. So now all that is left is the rainbow-coloured drop. When the rainbow-coloured drop dissolves into emptiness, a space-like emptiness, and focus on that emptiness. This meditation causes your body to become light and energetic. Okay, we can finish the meditation. So now we're on the chapter in this essence of the path to enlightenment, which is the Buddha's entire path, his 30 years of teaching in a nutshell. We're on the section of death, page 37. So, yeah, death and impermanence. So impermanence is a big subject in Buddhism. It's regarded as a very useful thing to have our heads, have a good understanding of, because it affects our life. So, generally speaking, all products, almost everything we know is a product. So it's produced from causes, things coming together, causes and conditions coming together and making that thing. So whether it's this temple, our body, our next thought, the microphone, whatever, everything is called conditioned phenomena or compounded phenomena. That there's things are brought together and sort of aggregate together. So the Buddha taught that all products are impermanent. So almost everything, you can divide the world into products and non-products, permanent and impermanent. But the permanent thing, almost everything we engage with and think about is a product. It's impermanent. So non-products are things like absences. If you have your special mug and you drop that mug and it shatters, then the absence of that specific mug is forever absent, but it's not changing. That absence it's always missing, that mug. But pretty much everything in our world is called a product and is an impermanent conditioned phenomena. arising from causes and conditions. And by nature, if it arises through aggregation, it will then disintegrate. That's one of the, it's called the Four Seals in Buddhism, or the sort of foundation teachings or foundation understanding of the world, that everything is impermanent. So there's two types of impermanence. There's called subtle impermanence and gross impermanence. So subtle impermanence is momentary change. In actual fact, everything is changing moment by moment. Even though we say this is the same book, this is the same book, I'm the same person, you're the same person, and so on. In actual fact, every moment you've changed. So our mind, if we sit and watch our mind, we can see how that changes. Can always got a different feeling, different thought, different sensation, whatever's going on. But also our body's changing. The cells are being all the time being broken down, rebuilt, disintegrating, being rebuilt. Apparently every cell in your body replaces every 7 years. So from 7 years ago, you're a completely different person physically to the next 7 years. But in terms of physics, if you look under an electron microscope, you can just see everything's moving. Every atom, let alone every molecule or every cell, even tiny subatomic particles, electrons are whizzing around, and then if you go down to even smaller, everything's moving. Nothing's static. But the way we engage the world is, there's John, there's Jenny, they're the same, I've got this idea of them. There's my footy club, it's the same, and everything seems static. So the Buddha said, it's good to understand impermanence. Gross impermanence is where something disintegrates completely. So where someone dies, that's called gross impermanence. They're completely transformed into something else. Like a car's written off in a smash, and then it's crushed and melted down. There's no longer a car there. That's gross impermanence. Or if we had cancer and it was successfully treated and removed, then that cancer that's gross impermanence. The cancer's gone forever. So the subtle ones impermanence, like I say, we don't tend to notice. But you might, you don't see someone for 10, 20 years, and then you see them, in crikey, that's quite a dramatic change that's happened to you. But if you were there day by day, you wouldn't really notice that. Or yourself, you might not notice every time you brush your hair, there's one more hair on the hairbrush. But then eventually, one day you look in the mirror and there's another mirror behind. You can see there's actually a very shiny sort of, what do they call it, a bowling ball. Rather than, Or we don't notice every time we're having another chip, another chocolate, that it's affecting our body. But 12, 10, 20 years later, you look in the mirror with only clothes on and there's a pear shape there. So there's very gradual change we don't notice. There's only occasionally we think, crikey, I can't. Like I tried running maybe 10 years ago, and I couldn't run at all. I couldn't run 50 meters without absolutely gasping for breath. So I decided to just do a little bit of jogging. And so things build up. And things like in the mental world as well, like continual criticism. It might be another criticism, another little thing you don't notice. And eventually your partner leaves you. It's sort of built up to a relationship crisis or whatever. Or on a more positive note, we don't notice when we're meditating, we don't really notice this is having a long-term beneficial effect on me. But when we attain enlightenment or when we attain realizations, and you see that all this little training of the mind, actually step by step my compassion's developing, step by step my patience developing, and so on. So yeah, that's sort of more like subtle impermanence. Nothing can stay the same for a second moment. Everything's changing. So the Buddha said, I'm not sure if it's in this. I'll just read. I'm pretty sure it's in this chapter. But the Buddha said in the transmission of the Vinaya on impermanence, collection ends in dispersal, rising ends in falling, meeting ends in parting, and birth ends in death. And they're the sort of four main categories of impermanence, because they're the four main things in our worldly life we gravitate towards and pursue and seek. So the first one, collection ends in dispersal, or accumulation ends in dispersal. So we might collect lots of things. We might collect hotel towels, soap from hotels and things, have a big collection of that. Or, I don't know, stamp collections. People collect all sorts of things like crystal thingies to collect dust, and then you go and dust them, and then you go and buy some more, so you're going to dust some more. But whatever the collection is, but more generally in life, we collect lots of stuff. So we aggregate. It's not necessarily one type of stuff, like you normally consider a collection. But we get a car, we get our clothes, we get DVDs, we get whatever, our phones, our books, all this stuff that we seek and collect. And the Buddha said it's important to understand we will be separated from that. The collection of our stuff that we're attached to is impermanent. So we'll either be separated from it by someone robbing us, someone grabbing your watch or your wallet, or breaking into your house, or the thing will step by step disintegrate. Like, not many people have a car for 50 years, or a phone for 50 years. It'll step by step disintegrate. Our clothes will disintegrate. Or if none of that happens and we still manage to hold on to a whole ton of stuff, then at time of death, we will be separated from all our collection of things. And we've spent so much of our time and energy pursuing these. So, so the Buddha said we shouldn't be too attached to our collection of stuff. So the second thing is rising ends in falling. And that's always my experience when I'm baking cakes. They go up in the oven and they come down as soon as you put them out in the oven. And but more generally, this is talking about rising to seeking a position, seeking a status, rising up. Maybe you become the Prime Minister or President, where you get a particular role, but in the end, we're separated from that role. So it might be through retrenchment, restructure of the business. The business analysts come in. We've just had that at the place where I work, and it's all sort of it's quite challenging. Like, everyone's stressed because they know these people are going to start chopping jobs in, or not replacing staff and so on. But anyway, whatever position, doesn't matter if you're John Howard or Kevin Rudd or Julia Gillard, doesn't matter if you're Ronald Reagan, whatever high position you gained, it ends in falling or dissipating. So not really, people aren't so interested in, when someone's a Prime Minister, they're really interested every word they're hanging off because it's significant. And now, when old Prime Ministers pipe up, a lot of people generally think, it's better if they should keep quiet rather than Or another example is Ronald Reagan. He developed dementia. He was the most powerful person in the world. And then when he developed dementia, a journalist went to see him in the nursing home. He just wanted to show him his different coloured jelly beans in the jar. So that's the falling of the high status. So, and it doesn't matter. It's, Lord Jesus Christ, Lord Buddha. It doesn't matter. End up before. So third one is meeting ends in parting. So again, that's one of the sort of things we seek in life. We seek nice relationships, happy family, good friends. And we get very attached. It's very distressing when someone you love passes away. It's very distressing. And we don't realise that on the point of meeting someone saying, how do you do? That defines that we will be separated from that person. It's a natural law. It's the nature of reality. We're at some stage in our life, no matter how close we are, might be our bestest friend, from the cradle, might be, our husband or wife or whatever. But then through life, through the force of conditions, then we may be separated through the force of conditions. Whatever those conditions are, might be external forces, like the economy or someone moving to another part. Might be internal conditions where suddenly people are bored with each other or strong disagreements. But through the force of conditions, that meeting will end in separation. So the Buddha said we shouldn't be, value your relationships for while you have them, but not too much clinging, or not too much grasping or clinging, because we will definitely be separated. That's part of life. And then the last one is birth ends in death. So our life, which is often we hold that our life has been our most precious thing, will definitely end at some stage, and then we'll be off to face a new reality. So So I did mention last week that the Buddha didn't just teach cheery, nice stuff. He taught the entirety of our reality. So we can work with life, we can work with death, we can work with our mind, with our negative minds, positive minds. We can work with everything, difficult people, friendly people, He didn't just say, oh yes, just meditate. We'll pretend this sort of truth of suffering or difficult realities doesn't exist, and we'll just meditate on rainbows and clouds and we'll distract ourselves. So that's not the Buddhist path, even though we've just done that nice rainbow meditation. The majority of the path is examining life for how it is, and then working with it and improving it. So birth ends in death. So lots of people don't like thinking about death. There can be a superstition that if you say the word death, you're going to die. Some people say, "Oh, don't say that," But certainly the Buddha taught that's not a cause of death. Thinking about things isn't a cause of them. The cause of death, physical causes, is your heart stopping, or your aeroplane crashing, or the war in Ukraine, whatever it is. But there's also said to be, in the Path to Enlightenment, it teaches there's actually 3 internal causes of death, and that our karma for this life runs out, or our life force runs out through damaging it, like in extreme heat or extreme cold, damaging our life force or our life energy, or our merit runs out, which is our internal good heart, our positivity, our positive energy. Yeah, so that's sort of a Buddhist take on the main causes of death. And if you don't have those three, if you're good in all those three departments, then you won't die, even if you're in a war zone, if your karma's not expired. So some people, you know, an aircraft comes down. There's one came down in South America, and there's only one teenage girl survived. Everyone else died. And you see that, you know, some people have horrendous car crashes and survive. Some people have a minor accident, trip over, bang their head, and they're dead. So there's external conditions, but also, from Buddhist viewpoint, it's internal conditions. So, yeah, so the point is, we do need to think about our life and our death, and not to be superstitious about it. And it's a very sobering subject. And when you go to a funeral, it's quite a sobering experience. You know, there's the finality of that separation, and also it might remind you of your own losses or your own mortality. So funerals are, you know, they're quite good education, or going to cemeteries and things like that. So the question is, why did the Buddha teach impermanence? This was his first teaching, 2,500 years ago. Impermanence was his first teaching. This, he said, this you have to know. And why? It's obvious, you know. Everyone says, oh yeah, I know I'm going to die. That's obvious. So why do I need to listen to that and think about it and meditate on it? So the first thing is we tend to have complacency. So we tend to put it out of our mind, you know. We don't sort of have a diary entry or a calendar entry, yep, I might die today. So Shane Warne, probably, he was on holiday in Bali. He probably didn't have a calendar entry saying I might die today. And then his life ended. Or Senator Kitchen, the Labour senator, who's just died at 52. So we imagine, we presume we're going to continue. We like to feel almost a guarantee that's going to happen. And we might like, you know, we imagine we've got this retirement where we're going to join this great herd of migrating grey nomads going across the Nullarbor in their camper vans and, you know, go around Australia. Like we want to do that. We assume that, you know, that's my plan, but there's no guarantee. So we get no guarantee of retirement. We get no guarantee of good health in retirement. And in actuality, we get no guarantee of the next heartbeat. There's no one can actually guarantee that. We assume it's going to happen, and I hope it is. It happens on its own. But there's no guarantee. And so that's actually a useful thing to know. So the importance of the subject, the Buddhist, it was his first teaching, was the first turning of the wheel of the Four Noble Truths. And within that, the teaching on impermanence, truth of suffering. There's this impermanence. And it was his last teaching before he died, the Buddha. So paradoxically, to value life, we have to understand death. Otherwise, life will just dissipate and fritter away. So that's the important thing. We have to know, I'm going to die. My very own life is going to come to an end. We've got to be clear about that. And we don't know when that will be. And then we value this life. God, this life is fantastic. You know, all these opportunities I've got. I can do anything with my mind in this society, with this life. So yeah, there was one Tibetan Lama, one Tibetan yogi, he said, every day you don't meditate on death, you waste that day. You fritter it away. you don't do something profound and meaningful, you don't traverse the path to enlightenment, you probably won't be cultivating your compassion, your love, the things that can really support us. So, yeah. And then we don't want to get to a point where we are going to die and we feel, gee, what did I do with my life? You know, where did it go? Did I spend it all the time with all my trivial worries and getting upset and grasping after the German car, and what did I do with my life, you know? So, yeah, so death times, thinking about, imagining your own death time is quite important. So it said the time of death is the most important time in our life, because it's our state of mind then that projects our next reality, our next rebirth. So the same as your state of mind when you fall asleep, you don't know what dreams your mind's going to create, what worlds your mind's going to create. The same at death time. It's really good to die with a peaceful mind that doesn't have regrets about, oh God, you know, I've wasted my life. But a peaceful mind feeling I've done the best with what I've had, and no regrets, and then sort of confidence going off to your next rebirth. Yeah. So some of the benefits of meditating on impermanence that are shown in the Path to Enlightenment. First of all, it reduces all our delusions. So we looked at delusions or negative states of mind or afflicted minds. They're the cause of suffering in life. So you look at your own life, look at how many times I've worried, you know, wasted time, made me miserable. How many times have I been upset? How many times have I been angry? How many times have I been jealous? How many times have I been depressed? How many times have I been lonely? You know, all these different times of suffering experiences that I've had, that my mind's created. So first thing we need to do is work out what can overcome those delusions. They're not serving me well. They're causing me to have a less happy life than I could have. So, meditating on impermanence reduces all delusions. So, delusions are said to be the root of samsara, the root of psychic existence. Through delusions or afflictions, mental afflictions, mental upsets, then we create actions, create negative karma, and that ripens in the future as suffering. So through delusions, I shout at someone, I punch them in the face, I steal something, you know, whatever. Or through delusions, then I become alcoholic or drug addicted, or always negative towards people, whatever it is, or always competitive, trying to dominate, whatever the thing is. So, like I mentioned last week, delusions don't come with a flag. They don't come. They're just an appearance to mind, a very convincing appearance. But this is how the situation is. You know, this is incredibly depressing. I've got to hit the bottle. The delusions just come with a very convincing storyline. They don't come with a flag saying, I'm a delusion. I'm running you towards suffering. So the good thing about impermanence, meditating on impermanence, it unfreezes the sort of static view that delusions depend on. Like if I'm angry with someone, that static, frozen, crystallized view of that person and the hurt they've caused me, again, it becomes that's sort of made permanent. And through understanding impermanence, then that dissipates. So we might be angry because the neighbour's playing loud music. You think, he's doing it to annoy me. Or his plant's growing over. He's not pruning it to annoy me. You know, you've got a bad relationship, 10-year bad relationship with a neighbour. But then realizing impermanence, you realize that person's going to step-by-step changing, becoming old, going to die, disappear, turn into dust. Me too. Our relationship's impermanent. We're going to be separated forever. And also the problem interaction I have with him, excuse me, is also impermanent. With a few kind words, it can change. So recognizing impermanence can reduce anger. Shantideva, a great 8th century bodhisattva, Indian bodhisattva, he said, why be unhappy about something if it can be remedied? And what is the use in being unhappy about something if it can't be remedied? So there's two choices, and neither one, two possibilities, and neither one does it make sense to spend our life being upset about it. So if it can be remedied, we can reflect on impermanence and remedy it, change it. Yeah. So also worries are reduced. A lot of stress comes from change. So big changes in our life, they say losing your job, divorce, other things. They even going on holiday can be very big stresses, and people have heart attacks in those situations, or get very stressed, get depressed. With difficult, or be told you've got a major sickness by the doctor. So if we realize impermanence, then we can accept good conditions are impermanent, bad conditions are impermanent. This is the nature of things. Nothing lasts. Everything fades. So then again, we can use that to help us handle difficulties in life and reduce worry. Like worry is always trying to cling on, make sure something stays the same. I hope my partner doesn't leave me. I hope my partner doesn't leave me. You know, I hope I don't lose my job. I hope I don't lose my job. But if with impermanence, and we're not fearful of change, so you know that if the job lasts, that's good. If it doesn't, then I can embrace the change. So another thing is it causes us to appreciate what we have. So knowing we're going to be separated from it, and we appreciate our life in this wonderful Australia, you know, wonderful society, free society. I can criticise Scott Morrison right here and now. I can say he's an idiot, and no one's going to come and lock me up and torture me. You know, it's a wonderful society. The press has got lots of different views. It's not just one view. We can study what we want. It's a beautiful environment. Australia is like a paradise. You know, fantastic country. And so we can appreciate what we have and the relationships we have while we have them. It's not just the same one person every day, but it's someone who's changing. And so we can listen to them afresh. Then another advantage, it said, is other delusions like jealousy is reduced. You know, I'm jealous of someone's got that job. I'm jealous someone's got that partner. I'm jealous they've got a German car. It's making me miserable. And then through understanding impermanence, we know that none of those things are going to last. We can rejoice in their good fortune. You know, good things will come my way in time. That sort of thing. Again. And ego, a really good one is ego's reduced through impermanence. You know, like some people feel, you know, I'm so strong, I'm so smart, you know, or, you know, maybe I'm a president, I'm ruling the world, no one can touch me. And then through impermanence, that ego dissipates. As you get older, you start to feel more fragile. I'm not rock solid. not puffed up with this energy. I'm actually quite a fragile human being. I'm dependent on others, and any strength I have is going to dissipate as I head towards death. So it reduces those delusions. So another big benefit is at the time of death we can relax. So if the doctor, you go and see the doctor, you've got a slight lump or something, they take a biopsy and then say, very sorry, it's a melanoma, the tests have come back, it's spread throughout your body, you've got 2 months to live. Then for us that would be a hell of a shock. And you wonder, how do I deal with that situation? But from the practitioner who's been meditating on impermanence and thinking about that, there's no shock. There's no need to, go through the stages of denial and grief and anger and hitting the bottle and just being upset. It's just this is my life. This is what's happened. Get on with it. Similar to when a branch rips off a tree, the tree doesn't head off to the bottle shop and think, I can't deal with this. The tree just starts healing itself straight away. So through impermanence, we understand that death is not. We're not shocked, or we can face it. We can face it in the best possible way, using our intelligence. And like Eshe used to advise, if you know you're going to die, it's very good to purify your mind, first of all. Any regrets you've got in life, just get them out there, purify them. Say, I'm sorry I harmed these people. Get it. You feel you've cleaned your mind. And then you should, things you're attached to, make your will, so you're prepared to let these go. You sort of come to terms with letting go of your stuff, and various things like this to prepare for death. So so we're not shocked. We're not shocked by bad news from the doctor. We can accept what's happening very quickly and not be thrown off balance. Another advantage of meditating on impermanence is we reflect on what's meaningful or lasting. Our actions become meaningful. Our actions become more powerful. We don't want to just waste time watching days of our life again and again and again. We start to think, well, long term, what can support me? What can sustain me? Both in this life, but particularly as my mind continues, as my spirit or stream of consciousness continues, what's actually of value? Is getting upset of value? Is getting depressed of value? No, it's not. It's being jealous of value. It's being competitive, dominating, all that stuff. Is my German car of value? It's not. We're separated from it. We can't take it with us. So then we start to think, what's really meaningful? And it's cultivating these enlightened qualities, like cultivating your kindness, cultivating your compassion and love, cultivating your patience, cultivating your wisdom that understands impermanence, understands everything, and then try to gradually, step by step, going down the bodhisattva path, and we start to feel we've got this incredible protection or refuge, this refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, this eternal refuge of our energy developing, our wisdom developing. And these are things that go with us. So, we start to pay more attention to the eternal world. So we'll just see how we go for time, because as usual, we're going too long. So there's a 9-point meditation on death. I won't have time to go through it completely. But it's basically there's nine. There's three major points. The death is definite. The time of death is uncertain, and at the time of death, nothing but your spiritual practice will support you. So, and then there's three reasons for each of those three propositions. There's three reasons, and then there's a conclusion. So, for death is definite. The conclusion is I must practice Dharma. The time of death is uncertain, that I could die any time. The conclusion is I must practice the Dharma now, rather than thinking I'll do it next year, or next month, next year when I've got a bit more time, when situations are more conducive. So the Buddha said, practice now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can cultivate your mind. So practice now. And the last proposition, that at the time of death, nothing can help me but the Dharma. My friends can't help me. As we go through the death process, it's actually an 8-stage process. It's similar to when you fall asleep. The very accomplished yogis, they can watch their mind as they fall asleep. And it goes through these same 8 stages, and it's called a dissolution of your gross consciousness into your more and more subtle consciousness, into your most subtle state, when you go into the clear light of sleep, or your deepest sleep. So we know that when I fall asleep, I lose my eyesight. I can't see things. I lose my hearing. I can't hear things. And gross conceptual minds, like thinking about working things out. If I'm not dreaming, if I'm in what's called the clear light of sleep, then you can't think about. So there's this dissolution of consciousness into your most subtle state. And apparently it's the same at the time of death. So it's called, the first stage is the earth element dissolves and your body feels less solid. And Geshe used to, he teach quite frequently these 8 stages, and there's associated, you lose your eyesight at that first stage. And Geshe used to say, you can feel a little bit like you're sinking as the earth element dissolves. So the dying person at that stage, Geshe used to say, they used to sometimes some people try and hold on. There's a feeling, a bit of a sinking feeling. And I actually saw that. I knew an old lady I used to garden for. She died of hypothermia at home. Her sister called me I think it was the middle of the night. She said, come down. And she just collapsed. And she was lying there on the floor, freezing cold, eyes closed, and just doing sort of this, as if she was trying to hold on. It was just very exactly like Geshe had taught. So not everyone does that physically, but that's the first stage of the death process. So the point is, what is the point? The point is there's this process we go through into our most subtle state of mind, and before we're dreaming, our mind can determine what sort of dreams we'll have. It'll project that reality in dream time. At the same time, when you die, when you take your last breath and this 8-stage process starts, your state of mind when you die will affect the rebirth you have. From Buddhist view, it'll affect how your mind projects your next reality. And the state of mind how we die is mostly determined by sort of who we've become in our life. So our accumulated actions and thoughts. If we've become a very angry person through life, or a violent person, then that will project a lower rebirth or a suffering state in the future. Similar to the mind, an angry mind, If he goes into the pub with an angry mind, there's a good chance he'll end up in a punch-up and unhappy. So it's said at a time of death, very similar. The mind projects the next reality, the way it sees things, and next rebirth. So we want to die in a good way. And I said the way we can do that is through training our mind throughout our life, through developing our compassion, developing our love, developing our patience, our concentration, our wisdom. Then that's who we are, at the time of death. Not just someone who's just worried, depressed, or frightened, or whatever. But we've cultivated our own innate qualities. Okay, so I should read a few of the quotes from this chapter. So on the section on death, there's lots of these sayings of the Buddha on impermanence. For example, he said, for those condemned to death, each step taken forward brings them closer to their demise. And human life is similar to that. So if you've been sentenced to death, and you're being walked to the gallows or to the electric chair, then every step is one less step. It's only 30 steps to the electric chair or the gallows. It's one less. And the Buddha said our life's actually like that. We don't know how many steps we're going to be taking in our life. It may be 980,000, say. But it will be a certain number in your life. You'll take a certain number of steps. So each step you take is one less in your lifespan. When you walk to the car park, that's another 300 steps, closer to your eventual demise. And the same with our breaths. Each breath is one breath closer to our death. And each day that goes is one precious day closer to our death. One day we could have used to really cultivate our good heart. But we might have, hopefully we did. But it's definitely one day that's gone, whatever we've done with it. I've got, if you're Shane, you were about to go on holiday. You didn't know you only had 1 week left. That's 7 days. Closer to his death. So it's the same for all of us. We've all got a finite amount of time, but we just don't know what it is. Another of the sayings of the Buddha on impermanence says, the flow of a powerful flood cannot be reversed, so the passing of the human life cannot be turned around again. So lots of us, our lives are probably half gone or more than half gone. We don't know. But that whatever's gone, that life flow, that stream of life, we can't do it again. It's not sometimes life feels a bit like a dress rehearsal. Somehow it doesn't feel real that this could just finish. I can't believe that's real. It's just like a dress rehearsal and my real life's going to start. But it's not a dress rehearsal. That flow of life can't go back up the hill. My years 1 to 59 can't be lived again. I've lost them. They're gone. So like a flow of a powerful flood. And then for this section, time of death is uncertain. There's from Nagarjuna's letter, this life is susceptible to many harms. It's more impermanent than bubbles blown by the wind. How amazing we wake up breathing after having gone to sleep. So when you watch the movies, you think your life's pretty You know, people, they'll fly through the air in a car, sort of crash into the back of a boat, climb off and arrest the baddies, you know, or jump off a 30-story building, grab a few flagpoles on the way down, and then dive into the swimming pool, and then jump up. Gee, that was lucky. But in reality, our body's extremely fragile. We can't, I don't know if anyone's ever fallen off a ladder. You certainly can't grab anything. It happens so quick. I fell off one time, tried to grab something. The force is tremendous, the force of gravity. So the movie, it's not like the movies. Our bodies are extremely fragile. It takes a little knock to the head. We've got a brain injury or a car crash, and people get, have very bad result from car crashes and things. So our bodies are fragile, and that's one reason why the time of death's uncertain. But also our bodies, we've got this thing called homeostasis, where we try and control everything. The oxygen level is very tightly controlled. The CO2 level is tightly controlled. There's sodium level in our cells, the potassium level in our cells. Everything is controlled in a very narrow band. And if it goes outside that band, we're dead. Our body temperature, we're always at 37. If you go to 47 or 27, you're dead. So everything is just naturally, it's incredibly complex machinery. Billions, hundreds of billions of cells all doing their thing to keep us alive. So for that reason, we can contemplate the time of death is uncertain. These sorts of things help us to understand them. And then the last point, that at the time of death, nothing but the Dharma can help. So no matter how close you are with your family, if they're all crowded around you at death time, they're trying to help you as best they can. They love you. But as you go through the death process, you're separated from them. Your eyesight goes, you can't see, then you can't hear. And then gradually, with this dissolution of consciousness into what's called the clear light of death of the heart, we no longer, they can't support us. In life, they can support us. And as we go through the death process, they can't support us. And all our wealth and the things we've relied on to make us feel secure can't support us. We're separated from them. I can't see them anymore, can't hear them, can't hear my music, gone. And then also, even our body, which supports us throughout our life, can't support us at death time. It dissolves into the clear light of death, and consciousness leaves from the heart, and the body is just a shell. It's starting to decay. So the things that normally support us can't support us. But the things that absolutely can support us, according to Lord Buddha, and this incredible lineage of meditation masters down to Geshe Charity Loden, our spiritual head, was that your merit, your virtue, your wholesome minds, your positive karma, your kindness, your wisdom, all these things we have inside of us, they're the things that support us. And so we need to nurture them and get rid of anything that obscures that Buddha nature. So get rid of the anger and the agitation, the worry and so on. Because these things can really shine and project a fantastic future for us. So that's pretty much the same way. If you look at any of those qualities in life, how they support you. If you go into a room, someone goes into a room and they're very patient and they're very kind by nature, then they're seeing a very different room to someone who goes into the room who's irritable, who's angry, or who's just competitive. It's all about me. showing how good I am. They see a very different bunch of people and get very different responses. So the person with patience and love and so on, wisdom, and they have a very meaningful time in that room, and the other people who interact with them, like people who interact with the Dalai Lama, he sees hundreds or thousands of people in a day, and people just say it's incredible the impact or the benefit, even just shaking his hand. And that's through his mind. That's through because he's cultivated those qualities. Anyway, we should finish off with a quick meditation. As I said, we'll do meditation. So we just meditate on those four limits of the impermanence, just for a short time. So sitting in meditation posture and going back to the breath, the sensation of the breath. Anything else that appears to mind, we just regard as a distraction. Don't push it away, don't get involved in it, but bring your mind back to the breath. Focusing on what the Buddha called the four limits of the produce of products. First one, that collection ends in dispersal. And so we can meditate that everything we've collected, all our stuff, from our house and car, money, and so on, the relationship to us is temporary. It's impermanent. If we're not separated from it in life, or if it's not broken or disintegrated, then at the time of death, we'll be separated from it. So the Buddha suggested that we can relax in relation to our stuff. We don't have to cling or grasp. We don't have to be so stressed about gaining or retaining stuff. We can relax, as it's impermanent. The second limit of the produce is all rising ends in falling. All positions are impermanent. So we might spend a huge amount of effort to get promotions and recognition and status. And get very upset if any of that is challenged. Buddha said we can relax in relation to our status and position, as it's impermanent. We will be separated from it to some stage. And the third limit of the produce is all meeting ends in parting. So no matter how close we feel to someone, how much we love them, or how attached we are to them, through the force of conditions, we will be separated from them. So we can reduce our clinging or grasping attachment by understanding them. We can relax and value our time with others and do our best for them without attachment. And the fourth limit of the produce is all birth ends in death. So you can meditate that your own death is definite. Step by step, your life is becoming less one less day, one less breath, one less year. Everyone in the past has died. Everyone in the future will die. So I can accept death is definite. The time of my death is uncertain. We don't know when we will die. It may not be after a long retirement, like we'd like to imagine. And we can meditate at the time of my death. My wealth, my friends, family, and even my own body can't support me. But what can support me is my own mind, my mind stream, my virtuous minds, wholesome minds, my merit, the positive energy, my good karma, my kindness and love. My patience, my wisdom. So therefore we determine in this life to develop one's own enlightened qualities, the source of all peace and happiness, in this life and future. We can make a decision to do that for the remainder of our life. Then finally we dedicate the merit or positive energy of the meditation towards one's own enlightenment and the overcoming of suffering and attainment of peace of all living beings without exception. We'll stabilize on that dedication just for a few seconds. And we finish the meditation. So, if there's any questions or thoughts on this subject? Is it uncomfortable subject on some levels, talking about death, or is it comfortable? Okay, time for a cup of tea. Yeah, that's true. Good thinking. Yep, all right, cup of tea time. Thanks, everyone.